Good afternoon, General. No, I think, General, many issues have been canvassed with you, so I'm just going to deal with very few issues. I think the first one, I want to follow up on the question that was asked by, I think it's Honorable Matheus, if I'm not mistaken, but it's a question about what appears to have been a javelin, where somebody works in a process that produces a certain outcome on a contract and then disappears from SAPS to go and become part of a company that has acquired a tender. Would you not consider that as a sophisticated level of corruption?
It appears from a layman's perspective, it appears to be questionable in terms of you are in the process, you resign and you go and work for the person that tendered. But it would require, it is a red flag, it would require to be probed, and we need to get to the bottom of that and make sure that if there is any malpractices in terms of that move, then it is dealt with accordingly.
But General, you think that under normal circumstances, the world is designed like that?
It's not.
It's not?
No.
So then you can't say for a layman, even for the other man who's not lay. The logical conclusion should be to say, this was a javelin, and this is a sophisticated act of corruption.
Correct.
It would therefore follows that in the process of the awarding this tender, it's justified to conclude that at least we have one example, there may be others not yet confirmed, that there were people who engaged in the process with a criminal intent.
It appears correct.
Okay. Now, the second issue I want to follow up on is the one by, maybe before I follow up on that issue, I think it's on paragraph 64 of your main statement, where you are making references, maybe let me go there with you, where you are making references to the fact that 64, the procurement component head is responsible for retaining all that paragraph. You see that paragraph, General? And then your next sentence there says, I cannot personally vouch for missing documents as I rely on the integrity of the process and the report signed by those directly involved. You see that paragraph? Have you ever asked this procurement person a question about this matter? Have you ever asked this person, him or he, what happened to them? What is your own view about the missing document? Notwithstanding the fact that, as you indicated, the National Commissioner has sanctioned an investigation on the matter, but have you ever asked a question? Because it would seem to me that naturally, as a chair of the BAC, and something like that occurs, and there is someone that should have been more responsible in that I would have asked a question.
The issue of documentation management is a concern. And that's why I have indicated, Honorable Chair, that we need to have a technology that assists us with electronic submission. It will completely eliminate the issue of documents that go missing when they have to be audited. It becomes questionable if the document was there and all of a sudden the document is no longer there in the process. And because it is a paper-based system, it becomes very difficult for me to manage document management. We do have document management center where all the documents are supposed to be archived, but from time to time we do get documents that are missing. And I therefore require that I have an electronic system to be in the position to do that. And that is something that I'm going to push very hard with our technology management services to ensure that that system gets implemented. It is about time we do.
I agree with you on that, General, but you still haven't answered the question. The question is, did you ask this procurement head, after having known, whether yesterday, today, or 2 days ago, a month ago, when it has come to your attention that indeed certain documents were missing on a process that this procurement head has a responsibility as a leader in that area? Did you ever ask that person?
Not the person complete, on individually. I have asked the whole team, and I have ensured that the whole team understand. That's why it's critically important for us to be in the position to ensure that we have a standard operating procedure that tells us exactly how to manage the documents, how to archive the documents, and who's responsible for what documentation. And those documents are being developed at the current moment.
How did you ask the whole team? In what way did you ask the whole team? Did you write to them? Did you call them into a meeting? How did you ask the whole team?
We've had a discussion about documentation management in my management team. I sit with my management team. The head of procurement sits in my management
So
team.
it was in the meeting?
It was discussed.
Okay. The follow-up question is, well, when Honorable Cameron was asking you about security checks, in your answer, you said, and I noted, that in some circumstances, security check does get done. What could be those circumstances?
I've made an example that we would not allow anybody to operate on an IT system if they have not been checked, because we need to ensure that we do not allow anybody to get into our system and interfere with our system if they are not checked.
So basically, it's only in the IT system where such is happening. It's not anywhere else.
It's what I know that the checks were done on. In other environment, it is the prerogative of the end user to ensure if they their risk profile for that contract or service is of a nature that they need to do that check, they do that, I presume.
Do you appreciate the significance of being a chair of a committee? Let me just give an example before you answer. We are members of the ad hoc committee of Parliament. We were chosen by Parliament to be who we are. And then we elected the chair of the ad hoc committee. In your own opinion, do you think that the chair enjoys the same level of authority as individual members of the committees are? And maybe let me add and say, in circumstances where the committee veers off of its mandate or responsibility, and therefore accountability has to be enforced, do you think that while we may be collectively responsible for that as members, but the chair would not have an additional responsibility?
The appointment letter of the members of the committee places responsibility on each member of the committee equally, except that I have an additional point where I must chair, and the deputy chair has an additional responsibility to deputize. But it does not take away the fact that I need to ensure, as the chairperson of the committee, that I share the meeting in such a way that the award of the tender is, or the adjudication of the tender has been done in a manner that is diligent for us to be to take accountability and to be proud of the results of what we have adjudicated.
So in a sense, you confirm that, or you agree with my understanding that the chair, by virtue of being the chair, has added responsibilities.
The appointment letter, I need to state it in this manner. the appointment and the rights I have is exactly the same rights as any bid adjudication committee member. My virtue of being the bid chairperson of the bid adjudication committee places me on making sure that governance issues and making sure that what is put at our disposal is then in a state or in a manner in which the adjudication process would flow, and that adjudication of the tenders is done correctly. That is my, in a way, I would say that then places me above everybody else to ensure that all those processes are done correctly. It's by virtue of my appointment as the chairperson, but more specifically, my appointment as a divisional commissioner.
Okay. So which means that in terms of accountability, because you talked about responsibilities that you said members of the committee enjoys the same level of responsibility, but I would imagine that beyond responsibility also comes the question of authority
As the chair, yes.
and accountability.
Correct.
So in essence, the chair of the committee should be more, is expected to be more, to have added responsibilities, which include additional responsibility for accountability, as compared to ordinary members of a committee.
Chair, I would more go along with the issue that accountability is equal for members of the bid adjudication committee, but I have authority by virtue of being the chair, as the honorable member has said.
But you remember that you are exercising your responsibility in this context, both in terms of your substantive role in SAPS,
Correct?
as well as the assignment given to you by the National Commissioner to
Correct.
chair the BAC.
Correct.
Why do you think that does not distinguish you from other members in terms of authority and accountability?
In this specific instance, where I have, together with other members, adjudicated on the matter, as I've indicated, I have looked independently on the issues and did not pick up any, and the members also independently did that and they did not pick up any. When we jointly met in the bid adjudication committee, we consolidated our efforts, we consolidated our thinking around the matter, and we have all arrived at that. At that time, I had no reason to present anything contrary to what I had already established in my analysis and what transpired out of the bid adjudication committee. And therefore, as the chairperson, I have afforded everybody an opportunity, and based on what I knew at the time, I then agreed with the members of the bid adjudication committee that we need, I also support the award.
No, General, there's no dispute on the process you undertaken. And please hear me very well. The process you undertaken, which you have explained here since the morning, has also been fully understood by myself.
Sure.
But where I do not get a sense that you have an absolute appreciation is the role of leadership in the context of your position, substantive role in SAPS, as well as your delegated responsibility by the National Commissioner. I don't get a sense that you are, because you are very evasive. You don't want to accept that by virtue of those two that I've referred to, it therefore imposes on you a burden of leadership which comes with accountability.
That statement you made now is correct. I am expected as the chairperson, and by virtue of being the divisional commissioner who is knowledgeable in procurement processes, to assist the committee.
And therefore it follows that as much as you are equal in the committee, in terms of your assignment in the committee, but you in particular, as a lead of that committee, has more responsibility than the rest of others.
In that context, I agree.
And that will include accountability as well.
Sure.
Sure. All right. The I don't know if you are aware of what Lieutenant General Spear told us when he was here with regard to the period at which he was an acting national commissioner, and during which time where Mr. Matlala came to see him and he raised his concerns about the same contract. You are aware of that?
I have had bits and pieces of the evidence because of the training that I have the other side. That part I missed. I could be made aware. Maybe if you relay what happened, I will.
Okay, when he came to us, in one of the comments that he made, he told us that there was a time when the National Commissioner was away and he had been appointed or assigned a responsibility of being the acting National Commissioner. And coincidentally, at that time, Mr. Matlala visited him in the offices of SAPS, wherever he works, and raised certain concerns about the contract. And that he was not given an opportunity to do that which he has to do in relation to that contract that he had acquired from SAPS. And so they had a discussion. So we asked him, when you left the acting role, did you come back to speak to the real person, the real man in charge of the job, and he didn't come? So my question was, are you aware of that? Aware may be in twofold or one. It may be that you are aware of that as it was happening at the time, and also when we were told about it after it had happened, or you just happened to know about it from the time when we were all told about it?
The first time I get to know, I'm not sure. There's a part that I heard of General Sibia, where they asked about the clinic. I'm not sure if you're talking about the clinic, but this one specifically, I got to know about it when the article was published, and the minister subsequently thereafter summoned us to come and explain.
No. I don't want. I don't want you to know the. I'm not asking a question because I'm seeking your knowledge of the substance of the meeting,
Sure.
the details around which they engage. I wanted to ascertain if you are aware that at some point Matlala went and complained to General Spear that he was not being assisted.
No, he did not share that with me.
Now that I'm telling you about it, will there be any relationship in your own view, knowing the institution where you work? Will there be any direct or indirect relationship that exists between General Spear and this individual who participated in the contract awarding processes and later on jumped to join the Matlala company?
Look, what should have happened under normal circumstances, the procurement manager gets activated when the supplier is disgruntled about a procurement process. I do get from time to time suppliers that complain about procurement processes, and when that happens, I take it to my team to start the process of validating the claim and making sure that they provide the response. In this instance, I don't know what prompted the supplier to talk to General Sibia, and the normal process would have been that the supplier should have been sent to me to be in the position to deal with the complaint, or at least to inspectorate if the nature of the complaint warranted that a further investigation be done. Inspectorate does that type of work.
All right, General. No. It's my last question, this one, but I'm going to come back to it because I would like you to answer it in a way that help me to understand the issues I want to understand.
Sure.
You have explained what, under normal circumstances, should have been the point of call for an unhappy supplier. Clearly, in this case, me and you can tell that the circumstances were therefore abnormal. And I want us to deal with the abnormality of the circumstances. And my intention is to gain an understanding from your side as to whether you understand what could have been the circumstances that gave rise to the abnormality in that process. And that is why I was saying, why does, what is your understanding? What is the relationship, directly or indirectly, that you think or you know exists or might have existed between the Javelina and General Sibia?
I cannot vouch to that relationship. I do not have full context of how that meeting was arranged and what were the matters that were discussed. I do know, though, that suppliers that are disgruntled may come and discuss their disgruntlement with officials, appropriate officials in the organization. So, Chair, I cannot vouch on what the nature of the relationship is between the two individuals.
General, the two individuals I'm talking about, it's not Matlala and Sibia. Leave that one.
Okay.
Sibia and the person who was within the system that produced the contract that was given to Matlala and later on jump off to go and join Matlala's company. So it's not Matlala and Sibia. Rather, it's Sibia and your colleague, your other colleague, Sibia
Sure.
is your colleague as well, who departed immediately or whatever the time after the contract was delivered.
I'm not privy to the nature of the relationship that they had. No, I don't.
We've never heard about it as well.
No, I never.
Okay. Thanks, Chair. I'm done. Thank you. Thanks, General.
Thank you.
Advocate Zigala.
Chair, thanks. I don't have any further questions.
Okay.
Nothing. Sure, I would honestly.